That was beautiful. Thank you. That was beautiful. And no worries, I'm not going to read these. But I had 6 when I walked in this morning, and Sue got a kick out of it because she always brings books, and I don't, and she just cracked up. She thought that was very funny. But I'm going to be referring to some of these authors. So I'll just put them down there for now. But that was a perfect song for this talk, just perfect. Because the title is We Belong to Each Other, but I reworked that, and it's We're All in This Together. And that's the truth. We never walk alone. We exist in this relationship that's one energy, one God, universal intelligence, but yet we're all individuals. So where do I end, and where do you begin, and where do you begin, and then we're all one. There's this big soup they're swimming in, I think. It's just this big field of energy. And I wanted to share what 3 of my favorite people say about this paradox of being an individual and being one. Ernest Holmes, Lynn McTaggart, and Bo Lozoff. Now, one of my favorite parts of the Science of Mind textbook is the glossary. So I looked up unity, and here's what Holmes said. There is one life. We are part of that life. We use that life, the energy of this life. There's one intelligence that we use. There's one substance which is brought into manifestation in our life. There's one principle. It's a force that works with our thoughts, with our beliefs, and none of that is unchangeable. We never walk alone. It's always there. This beautiful V symbol up here, if you didn't know, represents the universe, and that God at the top expresses through all different realms of the universe, the second realm being law, and the third realm at the bottom being us, that God is and operates through all of us. So there's 3 planes of expressions. We're one with the conscious mind of God, we're one with the creative law, the law of cause and effect, whatever, and in our bodies, through our bodies, we're all one. So the universe has a million different ways of expressing this, but at the core of it is unity. What's important about knowing that we're all in this together is how we treat one another. It's important because those principles, those laws, take our energy, positive, negative, whatever, and they do something with it. You might find the word karma relates to you. The Secret, the law of attraction, the law of cause and effect. These all explain that the energy we have put out there comes back to us in like energy. And so what we do with this energy is very important. Because God, universal mind, is always creating. The universe is always expanding. That creative nature of the one is always in operation. It creates from those thoughts and feelings that we repeat to ourselves, that we really believe. And that's why the words love begets love is true. Fear begets fear. And Holmes wrote, there are no successful people who go around with an attitude of failure. So if you've been in this teaching for a while, you can relate to all that. But another person I greatly admire is Lynn McTaggart, who wrote several books. The Bond, which is where the quote came from. The Field, which is the field of energy in the universe. The Intention Experiment, where she studied the power of our intentions to show up in our life. And last week, she released her latest book, The Power of 8. She's an investigative researcher, but she's been a journalist who's been studying this universal field of energy for years. When she began, she said, I don't want to hear any platitudes or any ooey stuff. I want the facts, man, just the facts. So she went on a year-long tour around the world and talked to the major researchers in the field of consciousness. In her book, The Bond, which is the bond between everything, between you and me and everything, the bibliography of the research project she studied in the back of the book is 21 pages long. And this gal really puts effort out. In 2007, she started working with a group of researchers who were finally focused on consciousness research. And she then created in her own laboratory tests of the power of mass intention, the power of many people having an intention that could someday, at some point, heal the world's issues. So far, since 2007, she has had several 100,000 people from around the world in 100 different countries participate with her in these experiments. Some are very simple, some are very complicated. It's very fascinating. But she found that the effect of our mind on matter suggests that our intention has a variable effect, and it depends on our state of mind. Well, you would imagine that. It depends on how our state of mind is when we're creating an intention. She said it also is a variable is where we do this and the time of day we do it. So I found that very interesting. Now, in her own laboratory, she has conducted 30 rigorous small group experiments, of which 26 have had significant positive results. And these are all on her website also. So her latest book, released last Thursday, The Power of Eight, is based on what she's learned from all this. And she said it kind of turned her assumptions about our individual intentions upside down. And I thought, whoa, upside down, that's intriguing. So she had a DVD on her site that explained part of this. She was stunned when she scientifically proved the power of small group intentions, the power of eight. Now, we know as humans we're constantly sending and receiving energy. Our thoughts change the level of the power of our energy and how it goes out, these energy transmissions. So whether we're happy or angry, it alters the interaction we have with other people, even animals. Animals don't necessarily come up to you happy when you're angry. So everybody and animals in the world, and even plants, they're finding, and Lynn has proven, react to our energy level. So the first question is, what are you broadcasting? We may start the day with the power thought, I am love in action. And then we watch the news. And every judgment and criticism and negative thought shapes that intention the rest of the day. So those negative thoughts impact not only ourselves, but everyone around us, as well as our greater arena of where we are. So in her lab, she's also studied the impact of intentions on healing, personal healing. And she found that even one argument in a day can delay a wound from healing a whole 24 hours. Just one argument. So when I was listening to her yesterday, I could hear the correlation of what she was finding out and what we were learning about spiritual mind treatment, our form of affirmative prayer. And she had a list of tips for how to get the most out of your intention, which I would say get the most out of our prayers. And she found certain practices manifest our intentions better, such as having an intention space, maybe a chair or someplace in your bedroom or wherever, an intention space, because that energy settles in that space where we can quiet our mind and get our mind off of ourselves and be open. Now, we always suggest this for meditation. Find a meditation space. And so that when you even go there, start to go there, you already feel the energy of meditation. And she says, not surprisingly, that our intentions work best when we're happy. I wouldn't want to make an angry intention and then have that come back at me later in the day. But most of her tips were already something we learned in practitioner training, such as be in the present moment. Make a heart connection with the person we're doing a prayer for. Letting the universe know what we want to change, that's on our prayer card. What is it that you want to change or release? And rehearse how it feels having that change happen, having what you want happen. Imagining the joy of having it happen, believing in the process of having it happen, and not thinking of failure. As a practitioner, we're told, you do a wonderful prayer for somebody, and then if you walk out and go, gee, I hope that works, We've just discounted everything that we said. So it's believing in the process, not thinking of failure. And then the most important thing at the end is moving it aside. Don't keep thinking about it. Don't keep digging those carrots up to see if they're growing. Because the truth is, we're the vehicle, we are not the power. The power is in the universe. So when I got done with that DVD, I went, good job, Lynn. You're finally revealing all these things Ernest Holmes wrote in 1938. And it just feels really good, because he did say someday science and spirituality will find their common ground, and it's happening more and more. So I'm fascinated by her findings in The Power of Eight. Now, she says there's big advantages when a group of people come together and form an intention, that they're in this state of unity. And she has been surprised in her laboratory how fast their intentions manifested. How fast. She recorded significant brainwave changes in the groups, in each individual. And she found when the intention was not on yourself, when the group intention was on one person, it was extremely powerful. So I hope to bring more information about that, because I just ordered her book and I'll get it in a couple days. On her website, Saturday, she invites everyone to participate in her latest experiment, the American Peace Experiment, where you will do your intention for a peace at the same time all around the country, with the intention to decrease crime in an American city. She didn't say which city, so you have to get on and participate to know. And so I encourage you, if you want to try that with her, it will be a great experiment on decreasing violence. Well, the last person I wanted to talk about, I highly admire, who so well talks about we're all in this together, is Bo Lozoff. You might not have heard of Bo, but years ago, he and Ram Dass started the prison ashram project, taking meditation and spiritual practices into prisons. He died in 2012, but his family keeps the work going and the books printed through their Human Kindness Foundation. On the last page, he wrote, his first book was We're All Doing Time. And you can see how that could relate to a prisoner. And his second book is just another spiritual book. And at the last page, here's what he wrote. After all the words, all the books, all the thinking, and all the discussion, life once again presents us this next single moment. What will you do with it? How will you exercise your free will? Will your choice bind us further or begin to free us? As we bind and free ourselves, we are binding and freeing the world a little bit more. Then he's got such a good sense of humor. He says, so let's get cracking on those spiritual practices. I could just hear him. Oh. He says, don't add any more lies or hypocrisy to the world, because it can hardly bear anymore. Really a down-to-earth guy. Well, I have to confess, I was disturbed about something this week. Mary, disturbed? You're the rock. No, I was disturbed. I was disturbed, and I wrote an article that the Record Searchlight published on Friday. And it was about all this. Now, the thing about the Record Searchlight is they print their own title, and I didn't like the title, but I had nothing to say about the title, but they printed the letter word for word. And I sent it in a letter to 11 legislators, most of whom are on the Committee for Public Safety. That's how deeply I felt about this. Here's why I did this. There was an article in the paper last Wednesday that the prison system was going to release a few thousand more criminals because of overcrowding, and they would be released based on their age. Not rehabilitation, not behavior, but their age. Now that bothered me because I received a letter a week before from Michael, the prisoner I've been communicating with for over 9 years, who's wanting to learn science of mind, and we've been communicating. He's been taking classes with me for all these years, and he's in prison for murder. He's a very, very intelligent man, and he's made amazing strides in his journey, but in this letter he said, there was something I learned about himself in a course he just took in prison. I thought, wow, that's interesting. He volunteered to be in a 6-week course called Understanding the Criminal Mind. And he even sent me all his homework. They discussed 5 universal fears that prisoners have, and the one that he related most was the fear of being physically hurt. If I was in prison, I would fear that too. I wouldn't think that was strange. But for the criminal mind, that basic fear evolves over time into an ownership attitude that I have the right to possess anything and everyone I want. It evolves into that. So he shared that for the last 2 decades, he's been in there 22 years. He said he has a permanent table in the corner of the chow hall, and it's his table. And from that vantage point, he could see everyone coming and going. No one could come at him from behind, and he felt very protected. But he was also ready in an instant to attack anyone who sat at his table. He didn't realize that was criminal thinking until this course. I find that amazing. But when you're in a prison with thousands of other criminals, why would it jump out at you that you want to feel safe? But he didn't realize this ownership attitude that went with it. So he wrote, over the past few weeks, I've started rotating my seating arrangement. That must have scared the heck out of people. He just went to different tables. Hey, can I sit with you? Oh my, you've been the big evil guy in the corner for so long. And it's going really well. He feels a lot lighter. But here's in his words, now I can release this unnecessary and ad nauseum energy of ownership. He didn't realize how much it was pulling him down. He could release it. So in that, he looked at the other things that they had in this class about criminal thinking to see, was he holding those in his mind also? And he didn't seem to think he was holding many of them. I don't know, but that was his opinion at the time. And these things I wanted to bring to you because these are characteristics of the criminal mind that the California prison system is going to let go because of their age. Anyway, it's all right and perfect, God, yeah, I know. My letter is perfect too, so it's all right and perfect. But here's some of these beliefs. Treating people as objects. A lack of fear of getting caught. An opinion based on what was fair and unfair is only my opinion. Keeping score. Manipulating others. Believing, not like other criminals, I am smarter, I'm more talented, I'm the exception to the rule. Can you feel that? These are all things they taught in the course of understanding the criminal mind, and he wanted to share those with me. So it's been a blessing to me and to him. You cannot, I could read letter after letter after letter of how grateful he is that we've continued this study of these principles because it has helped him so much. But you know, after 9 years, these deep-seated beliefs are just starting to pop up. I find that fascinating. He took another course this summer that the purpose of the course was to help him become disgusted with the harm he caused others. Disgusted with the harm he caused others. Now, he murdered someone, a teenager. And I think, you know, for a murderer, that's appropriate to become disgusted with how you hurt others. And in that class, at the end, they brought in families who've had children murdered, and they got to sit with these people and meet and talk. He said it was amazing. And what he brought them was positive affirmations from Ernest Holmes. That's what he gave to these families. That makes me want to cry. Okay. So the reason I wrote that article for the paper is if these basic understandings of what a criminal mind is aren't even broached with these prisoners who are going to be released, the challenges for our police and the community are going to be compounded. So I share this with you because after 22 years in prison, Michael is just now learning these attributes of the criminal mind. And for him, he says it's never too late. It's never too late. Which brings me back to Bo. It's never too late because we're all in this, we're all doing time. Bo wrote, "The buck stops in this moment right at your feet. Everything will definitely turn out all right in the end, but we can drag out this misery or we can speed up the healing. I choose to do what I can to speed it up, and I pray that you do too, because the truth is we're all in this together." So let's pray about that. I rejoice in this moment that we are all in this together. And I rejoice that each one of us here today has the ability to change lives, not by what we do to others or make for others, but how we are in life ourselves, how we do life. What is our intention for our life? Love, peace, harmony, joy, the attributes of God, peace, power, beauty, and joy. Sending love to the universe, to anyone who's open to receive it, who's receptive. To all those prisoners who are receptive but just don't know where to get the help. But they know there's more to this life. So I honor every person that walks in the door of this center. We don't talk about prison or any of these things very often, but right now it's just a hot button for me. And so I wanted to share this because I love you. That's the most we can give. And today we give it freely to each other. And then we let go. And we let God do the juicy work of bringing into our lives that joy, that happiness. Knowing the truth is we're all in this together. Thank you, God. And so it is.